You're listening to the Hustled Up Podcast. I'm Laura Natoli.
And I'm Holly Silva, and we are best friends since birth turned multi-passionate entrepreneurs and co-owners of Chores and More, a successful service-based business where everybody is treated like a best friend.
Welcome to our show where tactical business education meets fun and real conversations about this wild journey called life.
Get ready to be inspired. Grab your headphones, turn up the volume, and let's hustle up.
We're back. Guess what, guys? It's been a long road, but Hustled Up Podcast is officially back in action, bigger and better than ever. We are your hosts. My name is Laura.
And I'm Holly.
And I'm sporting these really cute Kraken Kitty headphones, if you haven't noticed, because, you know, it's a new year, new headphones, new me. Anyway, we have missed you so much, but this hiatus, correct me if I'm wrong, Holly, was very much needed. Didn't you feel like just having time to get away and decompress was just very, very much needed?
I mean, yes, but we didn't really do any decompressing because our business was so demanding over the last month and a half that I really don't feel any more relaxed. And if anything, coming back to the podcast feels like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know what? Just having the break just makes me even more excited to be here and to be back. So that's kind of where we're at over here. But I hope that you have missed us, and thank you so much for joining us today. I know we have missed you. And as always, you know, I have to do it. I have to remind you guys, because we want to grow. This is the year of growth. 2025 is going to be the year of growth for our business and our podcast. And it would be so helpful if you would share this podcast with a friend who you think would get value from it. And in that same vein, of course, pause this, leave us a review, rate, review, and subscribe. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're all over the place. So go check us out and show us a little bit of love. All right. It is the new year, so you know that the first episode back had to be amazing. So we are actually going to be joined today by a returning guest. Queen Kathy Merchant is back for another episode about goal setting. Now, if you're like, who is that? First of all, do you live under a rock? Second of all, if you don't know who Kathy Merchant is, she was actually on the podcast back in July, and it was episode 78, all things goal setting and time management. So we have discussed goal setting with her before. She is an expert on it. But we figured she'd be the perfect guest for this episode now that it is 2025 and we are all setting goals for the new year. And this episode was just chef's kiss as always. We talked a lot about how to set SMART goals, which you will find out what those are because she talks about that. And we also talked a lot about mindset, as we always do, and not comparing yourself to other people, to where they're at and their goals and where they're at in their life. So this was just overall such an amazing episode. We are so excited to be here. Stay tuned.
Are you tired of spending your entire weekend cleaning when you could be going out to brunch with your girls?
First of all, I love brunch. And second of all, yes, there are so many things I could be doing instead of cleaning my house on the weekend.
Oh yeah, like playing video games.
Or watching a movie with the kids.
Going on a date with your significant other.
Taking your dog to the dog park.
Going to the movies.
Solving world hunger.
Yes! Exactly. So this is why it is such a good idea to call up Chores and More for your deep and recurring cleaning needs.
And do you want to know something really, really cool?
What?
If anybody mentions Hustled Up when they call to book, they can receive up to $100 off their deep cleaning.
Up to $100 off. What are you doing still sitting there? Pick up the phone now, mention our podcast, and never have to spend your weekends cleaning again.
Simply go to choresandmorellc.com. You can fill out our request quote form there, or give us a call, send us a text, 631-397-0177. It is time to get back to doing the things you love. Let us take care of the cleaning.
All right, y'all. We are back with the queen herself. I'm sorry, Kathy, I had to. We are back with Queen Kathy Merchant. And if you remember, she was on another episode and it was an amazing one. It was so long because we literally got so lost in conversation. But I'm really excited for today because Kathy, not only is she just a queen in general, but she is the queen of goal setting and more specifically how to use a full focus planner to goal set. So I would love, Kathy, for you to just like a open-ended question for you to just talk a little bit about how you set your goals, or like, let me narrow it down a little bit more. What's the first thing somebody wants to do? It's the new year, it's 2025. How does somebody go about setting their goals? Where should they start? All that jazz.
First of all, if you keep calling me Queen Kathy, I'm going to start wearing a crown when I come on these podcasts with you guys.
As you should.
Please
As
do.
you
Please
should.
do.
No, I'm just teasing you. So where should they start? I tell everyone to start with like a notebook and just brain dump. Get everything out of your head that you want to accomplish. And then you can go back and highlight like what is your most important for you. And you can even go as far as to breaking them down into the quarters. Like this quarter, I think we need to do this chunk, depending on what the goal is, because it can take some goals, depending if they're a habit or if they're a habit goal or if they're an achievement goal. It might take you the whole year. It might only take you 3 months, right? If it's a habit goal to start developing those habits. So the best thing to do is just brain dump and get it all out of your head. And then you can clear your mind and then you can start to look and see like, well, this is kind of the same thing. So let's cross this off. Let's write this into a smarter format so that we can break it down and we can give it a date and we can make sure it's specific to what you're trying to reach in that bigger goal. It also depends on whether it's what domain of your life it's for. Because you have 7 or 9 different domains of your life. I can't remember if it's 7 or 9 different domains that they go from like spiritual and personal and the habits and religion and just the different life things, and that's part of the life wheel. Did we talk about that last time?
No, I don't think so.
And I'd love for you to go into that a little bit more too. That's great.
Well, I didn't plan on going into the wheel of life. I would have to pull it. And I don't want to take the time to do all that. But look up the wheel of life when you're done. And it goes through all the different domains of your life. So they're from like family to spiritual to personal, your me time, that type of thing. Financials, professional, those are all the different domains of your life. And in the full focus planner, Holly's got her full focus planner. I've got mine. They actually list the look at you, Laura's got one too.
Oh yeah, decorated it. Holly inspired me to sticker it up this time. So we have all for the whole year. On Black Friday, we were like purchasing them for the whole year.
Well, if you look, so we didn't have to look it up, but it's on the Wheel of Life. If you look in the Go detail sheets, they're right there at the top. So they're body, mind, spirit, love, family, community, money, work, and hobbies. So there's 9 domains. So when you're setting your goals and you're brain dumping, you can go back and even categorize them for the life domains. But if you just get it dumped out of your head and clear your mind, then you can go back and highlight like what is your top 8 things you need to do. And do you want to break them down between the different domains? You can do like what I typically try to do, because I have 2 businesses now. I try to do 4 for each business and 4 personal. So I will divide my annual goals into 3 sections and do 4, 4, and 4. So that I'm having a as well balanced as entrepreneurs get life. But just breaking it down into those different domains.
I love that because I feel like I so heavily do like goals for the business and like entrepreneurial goals that I kind of forget about setting goals for me and like my own development and growth and relationship. And I feel like people don't even think about things like setting goals for like family and relationship and those really personal, intimate things. And you also touched on, which I love and obviously know, is habit goals. Because I feel like a lot of people, when they're thinking about setting a goal, it's an achievement goal. They want to make a certain amount in revenue. They want to hit a certain weight loss goal, right? Or something like that. But habit goals, which I need to get better at these, they're so good. They're so good. Like, for example, I have this goal that I want to move for quarter 1. I tried to plan it out ahead for the year. For quarter 1, I want to move for 20 minutes a day, whether it's like cardio, going for a walk, strength training, anything like that. I just want to move for 20 minutes a day. And then in Q2, I want to do 30 minutes a day. Q3, I plan on doing 45. Q4, I plan on doing an hour. But, I was always so quick to be like, oh, I want to lose 50 pounds. I want to lose 20 pounds. And moving is, in my opinion, it's a better goal, but it'll help me get to the other goal of losing a certain amount of weight. So I feel like a lot of people forget that. They forget the habit.
Well, entrepreneurs are the worst at this. And I feel like from personal experience as well as watching so many entrepreneurs and working with them in my coaching is we don't tend to set the personal goals until the personal starts falling apart.
Yep.
And you can't be 100% for your business if you're not having some self-care time, if you're not taking care of yourself. Because, one of the biggest things that I've learned from personally is that God will slow you down if you don't slow down when you need to. And whether that's, you end up sick or, whatever drastic might happen in your life, to be like, hey, wait a minute, like you're going in the wrong direction and you're not prioritizing yourself. And I don't think, and everyone knows this, and it's so common to feel this way, but if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of everyone else. And as entrepreneurs, we always try to do that. And then we're moms and we're grandmas and we have spouses and personal relationships and friendships. And you can't take care of everyone in your life if you don't take care of yourself. But we're always the last ones to put ourselves first. And so one of my biggest goals for this year is self-time, having time for myself. And my word for 2025 is protect. I'm protecting,
I like
That's
that.
a good word. That's a good word. I like that.
I wrote it down and I screenshotted it and I made it my screenshot. It's so it reminds me, it's protect my time, protect my energy, protect my space, and protect my purpose.
Oof. You got to put that on like a vision board or something.
That's
like,
a
just
good
do like a
word.
vision board with
on my phone, right? So it's like, that is my word for 2025. And I just feel like if I'm not protecting those things, then I can't be 100% my best self. And the biggest thing that I learned in 2024 was learning to say no. Because my calendar was so overbooked that I could not, felt like I was always running and always not putting out fires in my cleaning business, because that's self-running and my operations manager handles all that. But it was like I was running to this networking event and this networking event, and then I committed to help over here to mentor this person or this group, and I wasn't doing the things that was bringing value to myself or to the goals that I have that I want to set. So learning to just say no, and now I'm going to practice that in 2025 and learn to protect those things that I need to protect, because I want to have the best marriage ever, and my marriage is great, but it can always be better. I want to have time to spend with my grandkids. I want to be able to garden. I want to be able to read. And when you have two businesses and you're a mom and a grandma and a friend and a coach and a mentor and all this to all these other people, it's just like you are the last person that you prioritize. And my husband says to me all the time, when are you going to do something for yourself? Because I quit walking and I love to walk, and I was walking every day, and I quit because I had to do so much for everyone else that I just couldn't do it. Sorry guys, I've got to plug my computer in.
No worries. I totally get that. I feel, and me and Laura both feeling it. We are just
speaking our language right now.
We are so burned out, and like I haven't decided on my word of the year yet because I have two in mind. I was either leaning towards either ascend or balance, and I love the word ascend because I want to keep climbing and climbing and climbing, but I feel like this year needs to be like a little bit of a pause for me, because last year was so chaotic for us in our business. We grew our business by 49% revenue.
That's amazing.
It was really good, but it's exhausting.
Yeah.
We grew from 10,000 in revenue from 1 month to another. Like that's how much we grew in that 1 month. And it was like just wild. And I feel like, and me and Laura talk about this all the time. Like we would sit here in our office for 8, 9, 10 hours, even 11 hours a day and not move. Mm-hmm. And we weren't walking, as you said, and we weren't moving. And I would go home and I'm too tired to even function, and I'm getting headaches and I'm lightheaded and I'm feeling like nauseous and like all these things that like are also now starting to take like a physical toll on my body because I'm not prioritizing myself and I'm not there's no balance. Like there was absolutely no balance last year. And so I really I'm craving that. I really want to delegate more this year. And so I'm working on the goals. I feel like most of my goals are still business related though. So I need to kind of take a step back.
I feel like I did the opposite when I set my goals, I set 8, I think, last quarter, and 4 were personal, 4 were business. And this time I was like, I have to focus on the personal because I only focused on the business goals last year.
So
Those
you
are the
set too
only
many
ones.
then.
Yeah, I definitely set too many. I didn't even do one thing for the personal goals. I had a habit tracker. I had most of my personal goals were health related and habit related. I didn't even check off one box. You know how it has a little box in the full focus planner at the bottom to track that? I didn't check off one because I was so focused on the business goals that I didn't even think about it. So this year I'm starting 2025 personal health goals first and then business goals. I got to
Yeah,
prioritize it.
and that just is, and I don't want to say this like it's just so easy because it's not, right, getting into those habits, but it's a matter of prioritizing
Mm-hmm.
and what's most important. And I caught something you said. You set 8 goals in a quarter, 4
Is that
personal and 4 professional. What are you, Superwoman?
I was like, is that too much or is that too little?
It's way too much. If you follow the full focus system, you should not be setting more than 8 to 10 per year, because you will burn yourself out. And you had 8 in one quarter. And I'm like, well, no wonder you didn't reach any of the
I
ones.
had
Because you couldn't
one
get it all
business
done.
goal. That's it. That was it. And I was like,
Yeah.
I still have 2 lines here to put more goals. I was like, I didn't put enough.
That's
So you're
hilarious.
doing 8 for the annual goals, 8 to 10, no more than, or you burn yourself out.
Okay, this is why
And you
we need to talk to you.
You move them every quarter just so you can see how much you've accomplished by the end of the year, not to set 8 or 10 more.
Okay.
So
Now
wait, I'm still, my brain is not computing properly. So would we do 8 to 10 goals for the year and then break those goals down by quarter, or are we
Yes.
setting additional quarterly goals?
So in your full focus planner on page 1, you have your annual goals. There's 8 slots there. There's more lines, but you have 8 to 10 slots to write it out in a smart format. Doesn't mean you need a goal on every line. You have a block.
Yeah.
And that block is to write it in a smart format, or with full focus, it's smarter format.
Mm-hmm.
But you only do 8 to 10 for the entire year. You move them to every quarter planner because they want you to look back and see how much you've accomplished. The numbers on the side is the quarter you're going to do it in, where the little Q is at the top. That's the quarter. You're going to assign a quarter to it. And some of them may have more than one quarter. It might be the full year. You might put 1-4 for the entire year.
That makes sense.
And then on the left-hand side is where the check mark goes once you reach it. But you still carry it over to every planner just so you can see how much you've accomplished. Yes.
I don't know if y'all could see
You
it, but
got
this
your
is what it
cue.
looks like in the full focus. I don't know.
Yep.
The
So
lighting's
see where
not
your
great.
cue is on the right-hand side there? That's the line. That's that little box is where you're going to put what quarter you're working on that goal in. Not 8 to 10 for every quarter, Miss Laura.
This makes a lot more sense. You know what? In my defense, we started at quarter 4.
No defense, because you are there. You are just like a lot of people. They think, but if you read it, it says annual, not quarterly goals. It's annual goals for the whole entire year.
Well, that makes me feel a lot better.
If you're trying to do more than 8 or 10 in a year, you're going to burn out. You're not going to reach it all.
Yeah.
You're not
I am burnt out. I didn't reach it all. I reached 1.
See?
I reached 1. Yeah.
So you set them for the entire year, and then you break them out by the quarter you're going to focus on.
Okay, that's very helpful. Can you elaborate on the smarter goal? Because we keep talking about the smarter goal, and I don't know if everybody knows what that is. And I know for me, and I think a lot of people, it's really easy to either set your goals way too safe and make them too small so that you can hit them, or set them way too big. So can you just talk on what a smarter goal is?
So a SMART goal, which is what most people know it by, is specific, achievable. I always get them backwards. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. If you use the full focus system, then there's ER, so it's smarter goal. And those are exciting and risky. So those last two. So specifically, like you can use ChatGPT to help you if you're stuck, like in how to write it in a smart format. You can just type right into ChatGPT, help me write in the smart goal setting format. I want to lose 20 pounds in 2024. And it will write it out for you specifically. So that will help take some of that pressure off of you of making sure you have it written specifically the way it is. But it's just being specific. It's having a way to measure it. It's making sure it is achievable, because you don't want to set a goal of you're at $500,000 in revenue and you want to be a $2 million company next year. Like that's not achievable. And you're going to feel like a failure when you don't reach it. There may be one person in the entire world that could actually reach that goal. But having the data behind you to be able to look and say, okay, well, we're growing by $200,000 a year, then you could say, I want to be a 700, or stretch it. So you're stretching yourself and say, I want to be a $750,000 company by next year based off the previous data you've seen the last 3 years of your business. For us, we tend to grow. Now, when we first joined CBF, for those of you that don't know what CBF is, it's Queen Business Fundamentals. When we first joined CBF, we grew by 55%. Just kind of like with you guys, you just grew by 49%. You can't sustain that every single year. So for the last 3 years, we have grown by $175,000, $180,000 a year. So I can know, and that's with everything we've went through, right? We still grew this year. And I was just talking to you guys about everything we went through this year, but we still grew by $185,000.
That's
with
amazing.
all the chaos that we had going on this year. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm very happy with that, because I was expecting us to go backwards because my focus just was not where it needed to be. And so, but I look at it based off the fact that I know for the last 3 years, that's about what will grow. So for me, I stretched us this year that we're going to grow by about 250,000. And if we hit 300,000, or I stretched it to 300,000, and if we hit 225, 250, I'm still going to be happy. Because I know we usually have, for the last 3 years, only grown around 180,000%, or $180,000. Also, for us, we stopped cleaning vacation rentals on weekends. So I know we're going to take a little bit of a back because we won't be working 7 days a week. So this is just building my recurring business by that much. So if we hit, even at 200, 225, I'm still going to be ecstatic, because I know what we're overcoming by letting some of those short-term rentals go on weekends.
I love that breakdown, because I do this all the time where I just pull the goal out of my butt and I say, this is what I'm doing. But it's so important. And like, I'm glad that you kind of gave us an example to know what you've done before. So as, an entrepreneur, but really, in life too, I think that it's important to know and keep track of what you're doing and what you've done in the past, so that you can set a goal that is attainable and, but also exciting and risky and
Right.
all of those things,
Well,
and
and
measurable.
if you don't have 3 years of data to go back on the last 3 months.
Yeah,
True. Just go back on the last 3 months.
That's true.
That's a good point.
Yeah. If you're just starting out, what have you done in the last 3 weeks? Like, don't overcomplicate it. Just look at your past history and just kind of base it off of that. And that makes it more measurable and it makes it more achievable.
So once you've set your smarter goal, I kind of want to do like a fake, like a breakdown. But once you set your goal, let's say you set an annual goal, you want to grow by, let's say you're an entrepreneur, you want to close out your year at 500,000 in revenue. I'm just
Where are
throwing
you
a
at
number
right
out.
now?
Well, we want
Not
to
you
close
personally, but this example.
this example. 350,000.
Okay, so that's 150,000.
Yeah.
Are you a startup business, or you've been in business for a while?
We've been in business for 3 years. I'm just making this up.
Yep. You have 3 years of past data to go back and look at.
Yes. So we set this goal. We think it's achievable. How am I going to break this down over the course of the year? How is a planner going to help with that? What am I to do? Like, the goal is there. So now what? What happens after the goal is set?
So the first thing I would do is go back and look at your 3 years of history and how much did you grow, like I just said we did. That's what we did. What I did, I looked at where we were the last 3 years and got an average, and that will tell you if you can grow to that amount again. One thing with a revenue goal is you have to remember also, and we know this because we're in the cleaning industry, but it works for any business. What is your attrition rate? And you have to make sure that you're raising your marketing to market above that attrition. If you're only spending $4,000 a month in marketing and you've been doing that for the last 3 years, you're not growing because you're just staying still. You're stagnant. You're not really truly going. So to break that goal down, but then to also remember that you have to go back and say, well, marketing is part of that. So now I have to raise my marketing, make that part of your plan to reach that goal. And then just work it backwards. Like if I want to be at, what'd you say, 500,000, 550,000? If you want to be at 500,000, divide that by how many months it is. This is what I have to do by the month. Divide that by the weeks. And then this is how many we have to do a day. And then how many new clients do you have to reach that goal? If you're losing 3%, which is a typical attrition rate for a cleaning business anyway, depending on the size of your business, I shouldn't say typical, but 3% is where we run, 2 to 3. Then what does your marketing have to be above that? And then you can figure out what your marketing has to be by just dividing the numbers and figuring out at 12, this is 12 months, 10 months, and break it by the quarter. But
So what I'm hearing is it's all math. It's literally all math. Math is the path.
I was going to say, and as Debbie teaches us, math is a path, and math is fun because money is fun.
Well, this is a mathy goal. Maybe there's a different goal that isn't so mathy. Let me think. Well, I'm trying to think of a
say you want to have, well, I don't know, this might turn mathy, but say we're at 8 cleaning techs and we want to end the year with 12 cleaning techs.
It's still a math goal.
That's a math
Everything
goal.
is math.
Well, maybe a personal goal. Okay. Here's one. Okay, we'll do a habit goal. Habit goal. This is a good one, right? Mm-hmm. And let's use my example. I want to walk or move for 20 minutes a day. So what do I do now? What do I do? The goal's there. It's on paper. What do I do?
So then I would say you need to go into your planner and you need to schedule it. And then you need to set alarms on your phone that you're going to shut down workday at this time, and then your alarm goes off. And then you're going to, whatever that looks like for you. Are you walking, are you spending 20 minutes a day outside in nature? Like, depending on where people live, like if you don't like the cold, like me, I'm not going out in the snow when it's 6 foot of snow and walking in the snow. So what does that look like for you? Are you personally like going to the gym? Are you getting on a treadmill at home? How does that work? And scheduling it within your planner.
And then when do you mark the habit goal complete? Is it by the time you set the goal for? Well, I guess, for example, I want to walk 20 minutes a day every day, or move for 20 minutes a day every day in Q1. So would I mark that goal achieved at the end of Q1, or do I follow like what people say, 21 days to form a habit? Like, would I mark it at that point?
They used to say 21 days, and now I think since 75 hard came out that it's more of 75 straight days.
Wow.
Yeah, which makes it even harder. So I would say if you did it for a whole entire quarter, I would continue to track it. But I would say if that was your goal, that you were going to move 20 minutes a day for the entire first quarter, and you got to the end of the quarter and you did it every quarter, you met that goal. Because now in the next quarter, you said you wanted to go to 30 minutes. So now you're starting over with a new time.
Yeah.
So your first SMART goal that you wrote was specific to 20 minutes. That was your time. So if you did all of that, you reached that goal in the first quarter. Because a new quarter, it's going to be 30 minutes. So it's a different goal.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I like that. I hope
I can hit that one.
You definitely can. We went out into the cold today. You can do it. We already went into the cold and braved it. All right. I have a very different kind of goal that I want to talk about. Okay. What if your goal is something along the lines of, I want to grow as a leader? Like, how would you even, that's so non-specific. Is that, I guess, would that not be a SMART goal because it's kind of broad?
Um, I would say yes, it's still a SMART goal, but it's going to be based on what you feel as growth is. Because you can go to so many like professional, like we're going in January, like that's part of your growth. What leadership books are you reading? Like if you set a goal of, I want to be a better leader, that's pretty vague. Break it down and make it more specific. I want to be, this type of leader by this specific date, and these are the specific things I'm going to do to help me reach that. And as long as you reached all those steps, you are now a better leader. It might not be like in your mind, you're not going to be a Debbie Sardone overnight, right? But, or, even a Simon, who's the guy that writes the Why books? Simon
Sinek, or I think.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to be them overnight.
Yeah.
Look, I just put Debbie right up there with Simon. That's where we rate her, right?
Oh, yeah. Queen Debbie. She also gets a crown.
Oh, look, you put me up there with her. Don't
Yes,
do that.
we did.
I cannot live up to that. But, for you, where you are, meet yourself where you are. And then, am I a better leader than I was? And, you guys tell me all the time you're always fangirling over me. My fangirl's Libby. I stalk every single thing that woman does. I love her dearly. And she says all the time, I just want to be 1% better than I was the day before. If you have that goal set for yourself, as long as you are 1% better than you were the day before, you're a better leader. So meet yourself where you're at. And don't try to live up to everyone else's expectations. Because if I try to live up to being like Libby, I'm going to fail every time. If I try to set myself up that I'm going to be Debbie, I'm going to fail every single time. But who is Laura? And can Laura be 1% better than she was the day before?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Absolutely.
And that's how I think you measure it. Are you 1% better than you were the day before? Did you spend a half hour, or for most of it's just more than a half hour, doom scrolling through social media, or did you spend that time reading a leadership book and gaining knowledge and being 1% better than you were yesterday?
Yeah, that's a really good way to measure it. Did you take the steps? Because you know what's something else? This is like not full focus related, but this is something I did for myself in the back of my planner. I wrote, what kind of person do I want to be? And then I wrote out all the things that a person I want to be would do. Have a clean car, read more, move every day, things like that. So that's kind of what comes to mind with what you're saying about the leadership, or it doesn't even have to be leadership, but if you want to be a type of person. That was
the goal, though, that you were working.
Yeah.
The example we used.
Yeah, exactly. Just what would a leader do, and just take action steps towards what a leader would do.
And find someone that, and I know you have a lot of them because we were in the same circle, but find someone that you truly look up to and inspires you and is ahead of where you want to be. And Debbie teaches us all the time, don't follow a mentor that hasn't got where you want to be. Mm-hmm. So find someone, and that's why I do with Libby. Like, I love not that I want to own multiple companies or travel as much as she does, because I'm a lot older than her and that would wipe me out. But there are certain aspects of things that she does that I truly admire, and I want to be that type of person. And it used to be, I don't want to say used to be. I used to feel that way about Molly Moran, and I still feel that way about Molly. But Molly's not in the same circles that we are anymore, so I don't see her as much. And so I've kind of like grabbed on to Libby, because I just admire Molly and Libby so much. And I want to be the type of person that they are. And I feel I'm genuinely a good person, but I can be better. And I know I can be better. And so if I'm just 1% better than I was the day before, I'm never going to be Libby, and I'm never going to be Molly, but I can be Kathy 1% better. And I think you could have the same thing if being a better leader is what you're looking for. And how do you get there? Just remember not to compare yourself. And you're never going to be that person because you can't. They have their own unique ability. That's who they are. But you can be Laura at her very best. And
I love
that just
that.
means 1% better than you were the day before.
That's so helpful.
I think it's like so important to, because I'm the same as you, Kathy, where I get like really drawn to people because they inspire me in like in ways that, you know, but once I start comparing, like
That's the problem.
Yeah. That
It's
all
the
the
thief
time.
of joy. Comparison is the thief of joy. It will steal all your joy and happiness,
will,
but it's
and
so
that was
hard not to.
probably- That's probably one of the biggest lessons I learned when I first come into CBF, because I'd never met people like that before. You know, the CBF community is a whole different breed of community. And I'd never met people like that. And so there were so many people I admired. And my biggest thing I think that I took away from the first year was we grew by that 50, I think it was 58% that year, but I still didn't feel like I did enough because I was comparing to what people above me were doing, not at where I was and at my level. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we can do is, like you said, it steals from you of your own joy because, well, I didn't start a podcast and I didn't write a book and, all these different things, but it's not meant for you. It's not your time, or that's not what God's plan for you is. And that's okay. But learning to see that is the hard part.
Yeah. I'm still working on that myself, to be totally honest.
Well, and it brings me back to what you said at the last time I was on the podcast, was how you felt like you didn't belong in that room, and you left that room physically crying because you were so upset because you were comparing yourself to the people that were in that room.
Yeah. Yeah.
And being able to step back and say, I'm not there yet, and finding that one person that you can say, I'm not there yet, but she inspires me and I can learn from her mistakes. I can learn and I can celebrate her achievements with her as she gets them, and know that you can do the same thing. If that's your goal, if that's what you want to do.
I love that.
I've learned a lot since being in CBF of, oh, I'm going to do this and I want to do this and I want to do that, to going back to, that's not who I am. And I don't want to be busy 24/7 and running around with my hair on fire all the time. I like my husband always says, what happens to my little country girl that I married? Because you're not that person anymore. And it's because I'm so busy all the time. And I've had to come with terms of the fact that it's okay if I'm not running around with my hair on fire 24/7.
Yeah.
It's okay if I want to spend a Saturday in my garden and growing food for my family, or reading a book all day, because I always did read before, but all I read now is leadership books and business books. I don't read anything for fun anymore. And I used to love to paint, and I got away from painting because I didn't have time for it. And that's what he means, he said, by what happened to my little country girl that I married, is because I become a totally different person. And I needed to be that person to go the business where it is, but I don't have to be that person to try to keep up with the Joneses, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be that if I don't want to be.
Yeah, I think that's really important to remember, is like, and actually, funny enough, Libby spoke about this on one of our on our last episode with her. And or maybe it was when I was on her podcast, but regardless, we've talked a lot. And we were talking about like work-life balance, right? And like, she said something that I was like, whoa, that's weird. She was like, it's different for everyone. For some people, the balance is working 80% of the day and doing your own stuff for the other 20. And for some people, there's that person, I don't remember her name, who like really just advocates for the 16-hour work week. Do you guys know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And
I don't know her name, but I know who you're talking about.
For her, that's her work-life balance, is working 16 hours. And then, for some people it's different. I mean, for me, it's certainly not working 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week, but that is what I'm putting in now. And during the holidays, we put in definitely more. But I still have to figure out what that is. And I can't base it on what everybody else is doing, or what Libby's doing, or what you're doing, or what Laura's doing. It's different for every person. So I think that that's another really important thing to kind of figure out about yourself, because I feel like a lot of people genuinely don't know. They think that it's 40 hours on and however many hours off, or
Well, and I
you
think
know.
because that's what society sets for us, right? A 40-hour
Yeah.
work week.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But and I don't remember if it's in Michael Hyatt's, or I know I've heard Debbie say it before, but I think Michael Hyatt has it in one of his books that I read. Maybe it's in The Best Year Ever, or it might be even a total different author. I don't know. I read so much. But they said that some people's average normal work week might be 40 hours where somebody else's is 55, and they're perfectly comfortable at 55. And if they're doing anything less than that, then they're not happy. Or for other people, it might be 20 hours a week. And, then depending on the stages of your life. I mean, if you're a mom and a dad and you have a young family, yeah, you're working 40 or more hours a week because you're trying to take care of your family. But if you're older and retired or getting ready to retire, then maybe 30, 32 hours a week is all you want to work. And retired people, I don't think Debbie will ever retire, but even she retired from her cleaning business, because she has all the other businesses. She still works 50, 60, 70 hours a week, but that's her normal for her.
Yeah.
And she's happy with that.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
do totally agree with what Libby said of it. It's different for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's going to be
And
different
everybody-
times of your life too, because there's going to be some seasons where you're like, you know what, it's growth mode, we have to grind it out, and then there's other seasons where you're like, I just need to pause and take time for me. So I think that's really important to remember too. Don't compare yourself to what you did or how much work you put in a different season.
Well, and Debbie teaches that too, as far as a business aspect, because we compare ourselves. But is this person you're comparing yourself to been in business 5 years or 10 years or 40 years? Like her cleaning business is 30, or I don't even remember how many years she's been in business now. But, that experience speaks for itself. And if you're just a startup company, yeah, you're going to be grinding it out for a lot of hours. But once you get to have all the systems in place and get to a certain point, then you have more time freedom to do things that you wanted to do. And I think that's where we start to look at like the elites that are above the pros in the CBF. They're going on to do other things because they do have more of that time freedom. Their cleaning business is self-sustaining. It's running by itself. And now they do have time to do other passions, start a nonprofit or write a book or whatever they might want to do, starting an entire different business, so other service businesses, like Josh Latimer's War Plan AI that a lot of them are going into right now. Like, you do have that, but they're at a different season in their life. Even if they're younger than us, right? Because maybe they started younger. Maybe they found the CBF model 2 years before we did and have had 2 years more experience to get to where they are. Like, look at John LeBaron. John LeBaron's half my age, and he's a much more established business than I am. But he's been within the CBF community and surrounded himself with these people, like-minded people, for probably 5 years longer than I have.
Yeah.
So I can't compare myself with someone, even though they're younger than me, that has such a much more established and amazing business, because I don't have the experience there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That makes sense?
I think that makes perfect sense. And I think something else to keep in mind is there's a chance, I mean, I don't know him that well, but there's a chance that somebody with this kind of huge business is putting in 80, well, was probably not anymore, but in the beginning was putting in 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week, working, morning, noon, and night. And that's possible, but maybe somebody doesn't really value that. They don't care if they're growing super fast or growing their business super fast. So, and again, work-life balance is different for them, or they just really value that balance in their lives. They value time at home, or whatever the case may be. And so obviously they're not going to grow their business super fast either. Or maybe, and this is not something I have experience with, but I'm just throwing it out there for anybody listening. Maybe they don't value grinding all of those hours, but they want to grow quick. So maybe they're going to delegate, take a little bit of a pay cut for a while, because they want to delegate and have somebody else kind of run their business, or at least help them grow it quickly without having to put in all of this time and effort. So I think it's a matter of just kind of figuring out where, like, you as a person and as an entrepreneur and as, like just a human being, where you stand and what you value in life and what is important to you. And I think that's really important when setting your goals, because it's so easy. Like last year I said it, we were at 300 and something thousand run rate. And I was like, we're going to close at 1 million. And like, that was a huge, that was something
I don't know
else.
what we were thinking, man. I don't know.
Listen, we were like, I'm
Dreams
all
of
about the big,
grandeur.
hairy, I'm all about the
You
big,
said
hairy,
you
audacious.
just pull your goals out, right? Like you're just
Yeah.
comfortable.
We
Yeah.
did. We're like, we can do it.
But in retrospect, I will not work on a weekend. Laura won't either. We have not worked a weekend since 2017 when we first started cleaning, and we cleaned for like maybe 6 months on the weekend, and one day we were like, we're done. We are done. We're not doing it. And if you want to grow fast, sometimes you have to sacrifice your weekends. Like that is something that some entrepreneurs do because they value growing fast or making more revenue, or maybe they just love the hustle and grind. But for me and Laura, that's never something we're going to do. And that has to be taken into account when setting our business goals and our financial goals and all of those goals. So I think it's so important to kind of really like
Well, I
pick
think
what you value and figure out what you value in life.
I love that you said that because I feel like, and I've seen this a million times and I'm guilty of it. Entrepreneurs, when they start their business, they build their life around their business, not the opposite. And
Yep.
that's one of the things that I admire the most about John LeBaron is he has built his business, him and Christy have built their business around their life, not the opposite. And they have a very big business. But John I admire him so much. He has a large family and he builds his business around his family. He's a stay-at-home dad with his kids, and he might work in his business, I don't even know, but I'm just guessing, a couple of hours a week, and it works well for him. Like he has a remote business, and he built that business, him and Christy, around their lives, not the opposite. And I feel like so many entrepreneurs do it the opposite. They build their life around their business, or the opposite. And then you just become a slave to it. Like you have no
Yep.
work-life balance because keeping the businesses going is all that's important to you.
Yeah.
And I don't think until we start to get burnt out that we see what we're doing. And then it's like,
Yep.
okay, like you said, going back, I did this. I worked 7 days a week for years because I felt like I do short-term rentals. It's the way of the business. That's just how it is. No, doesn't have to be. This year I told them, we don't work nights and weekends anymore. Figure it out if you want to work with us. And I lost 2 clients. That was it.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And
That is
it
amazing.
was amazing.
That's
And
amazing.
Wendy Nellett did this a year or two before, and I was like, I'm going to wait and see how this goes for her. And it worked fine. And I was like, I'm just doing it. And then I actually had someone contact me today, someone else in CBF. It's like, how did you do this? Because we're doing it. Like, we're letting them know right now we're not doing nights and weekends anymore. And that's when I made up my mind, like, I'm going to build my business around my life, not the opposite. And since I
love
had to
that.
start over and restructure anyway, now's the perfect time to do it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's great. And I love that. I want that. I'm not perfect, but I don't work weekends, and that's a good start.
That's a great start.
I won't do it. And I mean, I slip up sometimes and I'll answer a text message here and there, make like a quick schedule adjustment. But for the most part, I'm like, nope, it's the weekend. They can wait till Monday. Like, I'm very, very big on that. And so is Laura. But
Oh yeah. Don't
Laura's
bother
a
me
little bit,
on the weekend.
You're a little bit more of a hustler than me. Like, once the clock strikes 4 too, like, I'm out. I'm done. I can. Laura will be like, I just got to call like 3 more people. And she's like dialing the phone. I'm like, just leave. Just get out.
Oh, Holly is always yelling at me to leave. She's like, what are you doing? How many more phone calls? Let's go. But on the weekends, do not talk to me. I will not answer anything on the weekends. That's what it is. I'm like, go. And then on the weekends, I'm like the Pope could reach out to me and I'd be like, it's a weekend.
It's a weekend.
Have you two, being best friends, had to set a boundary of not discussing work when you're doing things together?
We actually haven't.
We actually we haven't, but we know not to, I feel.
Oh,
We
yeah.
really don't.
This
it just
hasn't even been
doesn't-
an issue, to be honest.
Yeah.
which is
I know,
weird.
like with a lot of husbands and wives, when they work together, like it becomes like your subject of everything you're talking about. Like when my husband was working with me in the
Interesting.
business a few years ago, we had to set like a goal of we don't talk about work at home because it seemed like that's all we talked about. And it's like, I didn't want that to become all we had in common. So I
That's
wondered if
interesting.
you know, because you've been best friends all your life. So I was like, I wonder if you talk about work when you are personally like just hanging out together? I know I went way off the
I
topic
actually
there.
feel
No,
like
that's such a good
we
question that I've never
personally-
reflected on.
Yeah, no, I don't think we personally do, but we have our which I feel like I might have spoken about her, Ashley. She's going to be our office manager one day. We know that. She's our deep clean specialist now. She's been with us for 5 years. She's like a real company patriot, and she's essentially family. She's dating my cousin. We suspect he's going to propose soon. So she's family too. She loves to discuss work all hours of the day. And there have been
I was
times
just thinking
where
that.
yes, we'll be like drunk at brunch, you know, packing back mimosas, and she'll start talking about like, we got to do this and do that, and this has to change, and this system, let's do this system. Like, she loves to talk about growth too, which is exciting and fun. But there have been times where we had to be like, girl, no work, no business. But that she's very
for you.
passionate. She's very passionate about about our business growth and stuff, which is so sweet. But we do have to kind of like nip that in the butt. But I feel like me and Laura together don't ever talk about really, unless
No,
it's like,
unless something comes up, like if I get like a text from somebody or I'm like, oh, so and so needs to request off tomorrow or something like that. But I don't think either of us have ever had to tell the other one, like, hey, can we not talk about work right now? I don't think that's ever come up, which is now that I'm reflecting on that, I'm like, that's weird. I mean, it's cool, but it's weird.
we
It's
also
good you had
know,
that.
yeah.
It's good like you had that boundary without knowing you had a boundary.
Yeah.
Yep, this is why people say, "Oh, don't go into a business with a friend," but we're so in sync
We
with
make it
everything.
work, man.
It's like wild. It's
I wouldn't go into
wild.
business with my boyfriend. Absolutely not. Never.
Never.
But with
Never.
Holly, I would.
Never.
Never, ever.
My boyfriend works for us. He's one of our deep clean specialists, and even that, I'm like, you got to quit soon. I'm done with this. You got to go. So, he's great though. He's so good.
Don't make
He's
me
really
fire
great.
you.
but-
So
Yeah,
we can keep
yeah.
I was going to
dating.
say he's one of our
Literally.
best. He can't. And Holly's like, go. And I'm like, don't ever leave us. You're so good.
Yeah, so but
That's
I
so
I
funny.
wouldn't run a business with anybody else, honestly. So
No.
it just works. It wasn't a happy accident for
Good.
sure. But yeah.
Good.
Well, we've been talking for 48 minutes, so we should probably wrap
Wow.
up now. I know, it's
Okay.
crazy.
This
But
always
We
happens
do this
when
every time we
Kathy's
get
on.
together.
I know
Yes.
we could just I could go for another hour, but then people will stop listening at that point. So, this was amazing. Kathy, is there anything else that you want to leave our listeners with when they are like, it's new year, new me, new whatever? Is there anything you want to leave them with, as like a last note, a piece of advice or something you're doing or a word of encouragement, anything at all?
I would just say, like we started talking about in the beginning, just, brain dump all your ideas and then go back and highlight the ones that are most important to you and try to keep a balance. Whether you own a business or not, it can be the other life domains, family, personal, habit goals, what those need to be for you. And remember to not compare yourself. Just don't compare yourself to others and where they are. And what season of your life are you in? And that's why I like the full focus planner, because it is only quarterly and because life happens and everything can change in a year.
Yeah.
And if if you're using a regular planner that's a full year, like you can set goals and then 6 months from now, something can happen and you're not going to reach those goals. And then you tend to feel like you're a failure. So if you're only looking at them from a quarter, consider that quarter as that season of your life, because next season could change and you never know what those changes are going to be. And I've learned that the hard way this year with everything my business went through. I'm so glad that I didn't set big, huge goals that I looked at every day for the whole year, because I would feel like a complete failure right now. But we still grew with what was going on. So I would just say, don't compare yourself to others. Find that one person that you can, and it doesn't have to be just one person, but someone that you look up to that is where you want to be, has already done what you want to do, and follow them and seek their advice, not someone who hasn't done the things that you want to do. And I think that's a
love
big
that.
mistake that some of us make.
Yeah. Agreed. I love all of that though. This was
Yeah.
so good. This was like, not only like I'm feeling a little like a little bit of encouragement. I'm feeling inspired now. I'm going back into this baby right now. I'm doing the what a person like me would do kind of list that you were talking about, Laura. I'm doing all of it right now until 4:00, which means I have 20 minutes because then I'm
Oh
going to go home.
no. Because balance.
Because balance.
That's right. She's got to have that
There's
balance.
balance.
Another good thing I just thought of is think about dividing a piece of paper into 4 quadrants, and what do you want to stop, start, continue, and what is just
from Holly's iPhone.
delete,
Oh.
get rid of it.
Oh, that's wait.
those
What
are the
was it?
questions-
Stop, start.
Start, stop, continue, and you can either do delete or delegate.
Hmm.
Mm,
I like that.
yeah.
I like that.
So
That's
So those
good.
are the questions that you get asked every week in your full focus planner. So reflect back on the last year and ask yourself over what all of those 4 things over the last year. What are you going to start, stop, continue, and either delegate or delete?
Oh, I love that. I'm
I
going
like
to do
that
that
a
until
lot.
4:00.
There's quite a few things I definitely need to delete or stop.
Yeah.
There's quite a few things I
That's
need
like
to
the
stop.
big thing for us this year.
Yeah, I would recommend you do it personally. Each of you do it, and then do it together for your business.
Yeah.
I did that with my operations manager the other day when she come and spent the day with me. It's like, okay, I did a piece of paper and I did it into 4 different sections. What in the business do we want to start doing? What do we want to stop? Which we didn't have a whole lot of stop. What do we want to continue, and what do we feel like we can delegate or delete completely? And it was very eye-opening, especially to do it together for your business.
Yeah. We have to do that.
And
I
then
love
once
that.
you figure out those things, then you can set your goals, right? Because there's some
Yeah.
things that you're going to continue or you're going to stop altogether, and some things that you can delegate. So that
Yeah.
might change what your goals are for the year. So I'd start there.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
It'll give you clarity for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I love it. Oh my God. This was so good. Kathy, thank you so much for coming on the show again,
Oh,
Queen
absolutely.
Kathy. And
Well,
the
also make sure you keep an eye on your mailbox because there's a
Oh.
special package coming your way from me and Laura, but you'll
Aw,
see it
you're
when
so
you get
sweet.
it. But thank you so much for taking the time to come on our show, especially while you're away on your retreat. We appreciate your time, and I know everybody else is going to just love this episode, so thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.